Yo, this one time I had the most random memory of this scene from Disney's Beauty and the Beast pop into my mind. Hey, it's Kia from Mama Healer, and today I want to talk to you real quickly about adverse childhood experiences, our shadow side, and integration. So, let me paint the picture for you, okay? It was 2018, I was going through a really rough time, and I don't know what I was thinking about before this Disney memory lane thing, but it was probably just something like about I don't know, the laundry I had to fold or dishes or, some mom responsibility thing. And so out of nowhere, I get this scene in my mind. Do you remember the part where Belle looks into the mirror and she sees that her dad's in danger? I think the cottage was on fire or something. And so she runs out, gallops out on the horse into the dark forest. And then, the wolves come after her. And so basically, the next scene is where the beast looks into the mirror and sees that she's in danger, and then he runs out to go and save her, right? And so it's this big like thug life scrap off, and like the wolves are like pouncing on him and, and like snapping at him and stuff. And the next scene, this is the scene that actually popped into my mind, this part here. It's the part where the beast technically wins the fight, right? But he's so exhausted, his eyes roll into the back of his head and he collapses. And then they show this like bird's eye view of him just like passed out face down in the snow. It was at that moment that I knew that I was not Belle, I was in fact the beast. I was exhausted, I was in pain, and I felt defeated. And I was also a bit confused as to why I was thinking about this cartoon from 1991. But, it really does make sense because just like how the beast had to run into this dark forest, I was experiencing a dark night of the soul. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time, but looking back on it, that's the only way that I could describe really what I was going through. So this memory of a memory thing actually happened yesterday. And so this has given me a good amount of time now to think, whoa, first of all, my life has changed so much in the past 3 years. Like, thank God for that. But secondly, I really do believe I do still relate to the beast. Like, when I think about it, I think the story of Prince Adam is one of a child that has suffered from adverse childhood experiences, right? So if you remember how the fairy tale originally started, Prince Adam had a curse put on him at the age of 11 years old. 11. Do you remember why he got this curse put on him? It was because he was unruly, selfish, and arrogant. Like, sorry, that kind of just seems like a moody preteen to me. I don't know. So, like, no one thought to question anything about it. Like, no one said, yo, what kind of example are the king and queen setting or his handlers setting for him, etc. And it's just kind of crazy to me because if you think about it, what's the saying, when they're like, when a seed doesn't thrive or bloom, etc., you don't think that the seed is bad. You check the environment. Like, what were the king and queen up to? What were his handlers up to? Well, guess what? I actually did some digging because I didn't know myself, and this is what I found out. So there's this one theory where supposedly Prince Adam's mom died when he was younger, and his father is actually supposed to be King Louis Cortez. Cortez. I don't sound French, and I'm sorry. Super well-known dude. Some people say he was a bit of a tyrant. Others say he was a really good king. I mean, he was very successful and had a long reign. But regardless if he was a good king or not, he definitely was a bit Machiavellian. He definitely was always going to war. And so I can imagine being in, this household growing up with this dude that's always just plotting and plundering and looking out for his best interests. And like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a warm family environment to me, right? So that's death of a parent. That's possible emotional abuse and possible neglect. That's already 3 on the ACEs score, right? Then there's this other theory that it's actually the beast's father that dies when he's younger. And so the mom has to go to wage war against, to defend the kingdom. And so she ends up leaving the beast in the hands of an evil fairy that's actually trying to like seduce him. And so when he says, no, I'm not into that, she puts the curse on him. So that's now death of a parent, possible emotional abuse, unstable household, and sexual abuse, bro. That's now 4 on the ACEs chart. Like, what's up with that? Speaking of royalty and French chateaus, right now I'm listening to Debbie Ford's audiobook for The Dark Side of the Light Chasers. And really early on in the book, she says that, I think it was Robert Bly that actually says it, but she says that our minds, when we're children, our minds are like castles. And so they're these big, beautiful, bright, expansive castles, and we love going into every room and exploring, right? And these rooms are actually different aspects of our personality. And so as we get older, you know what happens? People tell us, oh, this room is, no one has this type of room, you should close the door. Oh, this room isn't going to get you anywhere, close the door. Oh, this room is bad for you. Oh, this room is this. And so we start closing the door on all these different aspects of ourselves. You know, in some cases, even like plastering up the walls and putting wallpaper on top. Like, we're just like refusing to acknowledge that these are a part of us, right? And obviously, these are now parts of our subconscious. And so the thing is that luckily, even though we think we're a 2-bedroom house, we're still this castle. All of these parts of us that we have buried are still inside of us, right? And they're still just there waiting to be revealed again. So back to Beauty and the Beast. There's one part, I can't remember if it was the Beast or like Luminaire or Lumine or something, that said you can have access to any part of the castle and all of its grounds, but the West Wing is forbidden, right? Like, don't go there. Of course, Belle totally goes in the West Wing. And all of the feminists are like, yes, no man could tell her what to do. You can't put baby in a corner or whatever. So anyway, she's in the West Wing. Everything is a mess. And, you know, she finds that like slashed up portrait of Prince Adam looking like a 40-year-old, 11-year-old. But she also finds the enchanted rose. And if you've dealt with childhood trauma, or any trauma, I guess, you know that sometimes like our memories are a bit foggy. But sometimes it's just like the one thing that you just don't want to remember is the thing that just stays there forever, looking all perfect 10 years later, pristine memory condition, like this enchanted rose. And in fact, it has layers, right? It's kind of like an enchanted onion. I don't know. I believe that the West Wing was actually symbolic of Prince Adam's psyche. It's where he carried all the guilt, all the shame, all the anguish, and the shackle of the curse, right? The actual symbol of it was this rose, and it was just still at the front of his mind every day for 10 years. Like, I kind of want to pull a Dr. Jordan Peterson and tell the Beast to go and clean his room. Because, you know, Dr. Peterson's like first rule to feeling better is cleaning up your physical environment, because it is actually like the embodiment of what's going on in your mind. And funnily enough, after the attack, we do see the Beast clean up his act a bit. You know, he's eating with utensils, he's bathing, he's wearing clothes, all which are little things that could help a person going through depression. May or may not, but it doesn't hurt, right? So I think at that point, that's when he starts to integrate all of his sides. I don't think he's trying to be human at that point, but he's remembering all those aspects of himself. And I think he's also come to terms with the fact that he is a beast, because if it wasn't for him being the beast, there was no way that he was going to be able to rescue and, you know, defend himself from the attack of the wolves, right? So almost it was like this form of self-preservation that he's now coming to be like, okay, I did that, I had to act like that, but it wasn't all bad. Another funny thing that just popped into my mind is that the beast actually is a chimera. He wasn't just one type of animal. He was a mixture of all these things. So he had the mane of a lion. A part of him was like gorilla. A part of him was wild boar, which is where the tusks came from. And his lower body is that of a wolf. So it's like, whoa, how crazy is it that he actually had to fight the darker parts of what was essentially himself? That was good. So I'm wondering if the story of Beauty and the Beast is not a story of a monster looking to find someone to love him, but perhaps a young prince learning how to love himself, shadow side and all. I'd love to know how that one hit you. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and I'll talk to you soon.